I'm one of your psychology professors for eCore, and I'm doing the fireside chat for lesson 6 on development. I'm going to begin with a couple of the major figures within developmental psychology. The first one here is Erik Erikson. What Erik Erikson gave us was a series of 8 stages. We see here trust versus mistrust, then autonomy versus shame and doubt, all the way down to the bottom of integrity versus despair. What Erik Erikson wanted us to think about was the social and emotional development of childhood, infancy, adolescence, adulthood, and old age. You notice there's 2 terms. So, for example, trust versus mistrust. All throughout all these terms, he wanted us to resolve on the side of the first term, to resolve as trusting people. However, not to eliminate the second term, such as mistrust, but to have a healthy dose of mistrust. All of that careful balancing came through the environment, the neighborhood, the teaching, the schooling that the child had come from. Another really important figure in developmental psychology is Jean Piaget. Piaget concentrated on the cognitive or problem-solving skills of infants, and he too used a stage theory, sensor, motor, pre-operational, concrete, and so on. What he wanted us to understand was that infants think like infants, not like toddlers and not like adolescents, but like infants, are limited by the types of ways that they can problem solve the world. And as you study his theory, I think that you'll find him very compelling, and that most of his work has been demonstrated through empirical research in labs. We'll also look in the chapter of physical development. You'll have a very long section on conception, working all the way up through embryonic and fetal development, birth, delivery, the first reflexes that infants have, and the major physical milestones of development all the way through the lifespan. We'll also look at the emotional development in various ways, such as John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth looking at the idea of attachment of humans to one another, our very primary beginnings, stirrings of love and longing to be with other people. And their theories will help you to think through how we develop in those ways. Physical development in adolescence is looked at, so as you go through your chapter, you'll learn about spermarchy, menarche, and the beginnings and the awakenings of reproductive organs in adolescence. Finally, you'll keep reading along and you'll reach adulthood and some ideas about aging. What do we gain and what do we lose as we age? When do the major shifts happen to us physically, cognitively, emotionally throughout life? You'll be happy to know that most of what we think of as aging is really very minimal until about the age of 60, 65, when you start to get some changes, and then certainly as we get closer to 80, more significant changes, such as in our physical prowess and our cognitive memory abilities. As we go through the chapter, this chapter will end on some material in Death and Dying, and I encourage you to look at the supplemental materials also in Death and Dying to engage you in ways that are kind of, safe but also thoughtful. But we want to talk about Death and Dying in a little bit here to just give us a sense of, the course covers, as Erik Erikson used to say at Harvard, from womb to tomb and to bust to dust. So, and here we end the end of our fireside chat with the idea of the end of life. And really, if you're a developmentalist, you believe that you're developing right to the end of your life. Thank you. I hope this was helpful, and I think you're going to really like your reading on human development.